So I always laugh about citizen oversight. We have probably more oversight in law enforcement, specifically in the Orange County Sheriff's Department, than most agencies out there. And yet the facts just don't hold true that we need to have yet one more layer of bureaucracy.
Orange County Sheriff Mike Carona is confronting the tiresome prospect of having more noses poking around in his operation. The Orange County supervisors are considering creating another citizen review board to monitor law enforcement in the county. They apparently want to emulate Los Angeles.
As I serve as monitor to the county for purposes of monitoring the Sheriff's Department.
My primary focus is to monitor the county jails. I oversee our volunteers who help me on the jails project, which usually about 5 to 8 students and professionals who volunteer with the ACLU.
There are 6 full-time lawyers, and unlike most other kinds of citizen review, it is our day job. So,
what's the reason why the supervisors want to monitor the Orange County Sheriff?
This has come about the brainchild of at least one member of the Board of Supervisors, John Morlock, a member of his staff, that believes that civilian oversight is necessary not only for the Sheriff's Department but for the District Attorney's Office and for probation. At least that's the way they've proposed it so far. What they're trying to create is yet another level of bureaucracy. They want a citizens review board, but it's not just a group of citizens to look at things. They actually want a group of civil rights attorneys to investigate allegations against law enforcement agencies or law enforcement officers.
They want to hire a group of civil rights lawyers to scrutinize the sheriff. But there are already oversight organizations watching his department.
We have been involved in working with the community from the day I took office, and we have a number of oversight groups. We have the Sheriff's Community Coalition, which is made up of leaders of the various ethnic and religious communities. We have the Sheriff's Advisory Council, which are members of the community that give feedback and guidance to not only me, but members of my department. But clearly we have statutory oversight bodies as well.
Statutory oversight bodies are organizations that are chartered by law to provide citizen review of all activities of local law enforcement. They are legal entities with legal authority. First and foremost is the Orange County Grand Jury.
19 members of the public selected at random that have responsibility not only to do these type of watchdog reports, but if we have a criminal act that takes place, any place in the Sheriff's Department, they can investigate it. They have subpoena powers. They can get into the officers' files. They can make determinations of criminal culpability. They can issue reports. They can make directions to the sheriff or the DA or probation because they have countywide responsibilities. So we already have civilian oversight. If the grand jury doesn't want to take it on, the Attorney General of the State of California has the authority to look into actions of peace officers. Clearly, every time we have an incident that involves an inmate or an officer-involved shooting, the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office through the civil rights area will look into whether there was a civil rights violation, and appropriately so. We have the District Attorney's Office that reviews all of the cases that come in, whether that's a crime that's committed in our jail or actions that are taken by our deputies in responding to incidents.
Is the concern risk management? Perhaps the county supervisors are concerned about the payouts due to lawsuits against the Orange County Sheriff. As the Chief Attorney of the Office of Independent Review for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, one of the main concerns for Mike Gennaco is the liability costs incurred by the LA Sheriff's Department.
I am pleased to see that the department's reduction in payouts has been substantial over the years. I think it's gone from a high of about $13 million in payouts to somewhere around $5 or $6 million in payouts. I don't claim responsibility for all of that, although I have to say that we are very involved with the civil litigation unit in reviewing lawsuits to see where the weaknesses are in the department and to shore up those weaknesses.
So perhaps liability payouts have been a problem for Orange County due to malfeasance and deputy misconduct. We asked Sheriff Carona if his department has incurred $5 or $6 million in losses every year for lawsuits against his department.
In the last 10 years, 9 of which I've been sheriff, We have had to expend about $1.7 million on lawsuits. Not a significant amount of money when you look at how big our operation is. And that's in relationship to the county that spent almost $25 million in paying out on lawsuits. And we're the largest portion of the county employee family. Plus we carry guns and batons and handcuffs, and we run a jail. We're all high-risk adventures. So if you're really looking at risk management, you want to look at this on a countywide basis is one of the things I proposed.
So lawsuits haven't been a problem caused by the operation of the sheriff. Is it a lack of transparency? We asked Sheriff Carona what he was recommending for those who wanted more civilian monitoring.
If you're serious about citizen oversight, that you really want input, and that you want the citizens to come in and look at what the Sheriff's Department's doing, we have the Human Relations Commission here in Orange County, which is made up of, again, citizens that volunteer throughout the county to look at various aspects of law enforcement and community involvement. You could increase their overall staffing and allow them to come in and look at our protocols and procedures about investigations that we conduct. Look at our jails. Look at how we do our investigations. Look at programs like ICE. Now, while they're not formalized civil rights violations types of investigations, or nor do you have subpoena powers, you do have the ability to look and see what's going on. Come by and actually examine what the Sheriff's Department's all about and report that out to the public. And you could do that significantly cheaper than what Mr. Morlock is proposing in his plan.
So there already is oversight, both civilian groups and the grand jury. What's the problem? Is this just OC politics at work? What is the motivation to duplicate the efforts? What's behind this?
I wish I knew the answer to that question. If we were in Los Angeles County and we had a series of jail deaths, I could understand why they may want to look into or have an oversight committee. When you look at the Christopher Commission in Los Angeles at LAPD, there were a series of violations that had taken place, and they were very concerned about the policies and procedures, and they didn't think that the grand jury could handle that, so they formed a larger commission. In Orange County, we just don't have that. We're not seeing, people being beaten in the streets. We're not seeing, riots in the streets. We don't have massive jail deaths. The only jail death that we've had that's been a homicide over the last 14 years occurred about a year ago, and that has caused a lot of stir over here. But yet, when you look at our jail statistically, as a mega jail, we're one of the safest jails in America. Lowest staffing ratios, lowest inmate-to-inmate violence ratios, lowest inmate-to-deputy violence ratios. You look at our patrol. We have very few citizens' complaints, and we have one of the safest areas in America to live. So if there were one particular incident or a series of incidents that were driving this, you might say, yes, you need to have somebody else take a look at it because we think there are problems holistically within this organization. Nobody's been able to explain that to me yet, Leslie.
We want to know what you, the viewers, think. Please respond to our survey and leave your comments below. Number 1, do you think that the move to have more civilian monitoring is a move to give the politicians more control over the Sheriff's Department? Yes or no? Number 2, is this just a political ploy to criticize law enforcement? Yes or no? And number 3, does your community law enforcement need to be monitored by a citizens review board? Yes or no? Please respond to our survey and be sure to leave your comments below. Thank you.